This new moon lunar cycle is under the nakshatra of Shatabihishak. The energy is a bit chaotic, and the process is something that requires a bit of explanation. So in these videos, what I do is tell you about what the circumstances you are going to be dealing with, also what the energy will feel like, so internally what kind of struggle you will be going through when you face these circumstances, and then how to best work with this energy. So to begin, the symbols of Shatabihishak are a circle and a 1,000-petaled flower. The circle is about limitations and working within those limitations. The 1,000-petal flower is all of the blossoming possibilities, yet you're working within limitations. The Sutra that's attached, the 100 cures of Indra, the conqueror, are all expanse from above and all earth from below. So what this means is Shatabihishak energy allows you to see all the expanse of the heavens. So tap into all of the divine knowledge that's available, that's from above, and from below, you will understand then what your physical presence in the world is meant to do. So you see everything and you also understand your place. And that's the drive of the energy. Now, the bit about conquering. The way that you are able to conquer and the way that you are able to see all of the heavens and then understand your place is by understanding things clearly and without distortion. And that's important because if you are under distortion, if you are under illusion, this is ruled by Rahu, so Rahu is the illusion of the world. And as long as you are caught up in the illusion of the world, you don't see through the fog, you don't see things clearly. And this will cause you to make errors in judgment. This will cause you to feel like you have a certain kind of relationship with a person or a group or a situation that you do not actually have. So when you are setting about to do your work in the world in the best way possible, that will serve the most people possible, having a clear understanding and a right relationship with truth is critical. And so Shatabihishak will take you through what are sometimes very perplexing situations in order to go through this process so that you understand. The way that we learn is by going through the process. The feeling of the energy itself is quite chaotic because it is many things all at once, and it's many different things all at once. So it's a feminine energy, which is receptive, and you're waiting for something, not to wait, but you understand that things flow to you. At the same time, it's very active. So while you are waiting for things to flow to you, you also understand that you cannot do your work unless you take action. So you have that kind of attention. The race of it is called Rakshasa, so it's a demon race. So you do things in an unorthodox way. You have to sometimes shake things up to make movement. So you're always looking for different ways to make a move. And it's a Shiva nakshatra. So a lot of times in this, things fall apart. Shiva energy is destruction energy. It's tower energy. So things need to go away. They need to fall apart before you can build something new. And you learn things also through loss in this nakshatra. So you're waiting for things to happen, but you really want to take action. Meanwhile, everything around you seems like it's falling apart. And you understand that it is a process, but you really can't see your way out. This is Shatabihishak energy. So whatever situation you are in right now, these are the conditions that you may find yourself in. So it's frustrating and it's confusing, but it's not just you. This is the energy right now. So a way to work with this energy right now is the circumstances that you are in. The point of the nakshatra is that you will go through these circumstances. And you have to go through these circumstances and you have to go through the illusion because it is a purification process. The Shakti, the power of the nakshatra, is healing and curing. So you cannot heal or cure what is not first sick, what is not first diseased. So If you ever had a cold, a sickness, and you get a fever, that's your body fighting it off. That's a lot of how this energy works too. So this unease that you feel, you're working through a process, and the process is the purification of the illusion so that you can see things clearly. But we have this resistance, and that's what's actually being fought by the energy. We have the resistance for the hard thing that you have to do. We have the resistance for the thing that you don't want to let go. The resistance for the thing that you don't want to see because you wanted it to be another way. We have the resistance for the thing that you don't want to acknowledge the reality of what it is because that means it's over. And that means you have to start again. The Shiva element, like it's fallen apart. This nakshatra is a difficult placement also because you have your work in the world. You have your sense of mission. So people who have these placements natally, it's like missionaries. You will go through austere circumstances. You will go through hardship, and you will do so voluntarily because you feel like you have to do it. You feel like it is your work in the world. If you don't do it, nobody else will do it. And it's not something that you can easily explain to people who don't have such a placement because it is an inner drive that you have. It is just an innate drive. And yet you fight yourself because it's hard. Every time you step into the ring, so to speak, it's hard. Every time you put yourself out there, it's hard. Somebody's ready to attack you, which means you have to be ready to take a hit. It's hard. When you speak, somebody is always ready to cut you down. It's hard. When you take action, you have no idea if it will actually ever result in anything, but you still have to take the action. It's hard. That's what this energy is. And again, the cure to the problem is the truth. Because when you see things clearly, when you cut through the illusion, you see where to put your energy. You see where to harness your efforts. But the point is that you have to go through this process. You have to go through these conversations. You have to go through these relationships in order to understand the truth. Because what is the truth? That changes by the month, by the week, by the moment. The more you learn, the more truth is revealed. So, for this new moon cycle, some items to pay attention to. Questions to ask yourself. What am I not seeing clearly? How would I read this situation if it wasn't me, but it was maybe a person telling me about the situation? How would I read this if I wasn't attached to it? Next, how am I allowing my senses to control me? What is it that I need to happen so badly that I may be tempted to act out of integrity, that I may be tempted to step out of purpose to make this work? Finally, what is the hard action that I need to take to free myself from this illusion, from this distortion? What action do I need to take in order to see things clearly? And finally, the resistance that we have. The resistance that we have in fighting the illusion, in actually setting ourselves free from the illusion, is that, remember, it's Shiva energy. So that means Shiva is the destroyer. When you see something clearly for what it is, it means the illusion collapses. And now you see honestly, you see without distortion, the people around you, the circumstances around you, the situation that you are involved in, the things that it's time to let them go. And it's hard because when they go away, now you have to find a new way to do things. When you stop holding on essentially to the dead weight, it's gone now, and you have to find the new way forward. And that's what this energy is asking you to do. Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is occurring in your 11th house. So this is about your friends, your networks, your associations, also social media, the things that you are actually putting out into the world. What are you actually putting out into the world through your networks? The people you are associating with by choice. What does that say about you? Who is around you? What groups are you part of? What are you perpetuating by being part of certain groups? Even if it is expedient, is that the answer for you? But what are you not seeing clearly about your friends, about your networks, your associations, versus what types of friends, networks, associations will help you actually do the work that you are supposed to do in this world? Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is occurring in your 10th house. 10th house is your career, your public reputation, and your actual work, like what you do out in the world. How people see you, how they perceive your prestige. Now's the time to get really real with yourself about what does your job, what do your coworkers, it's not really about coworkers, but your job, right? So who you are trying to be, how is that being helped or hindered by your professional status, by your reputation? What's going on with your reputation? When you think about what your mission is in life and what your path is in life, the people you are surrounding yourself with professionally and what you are imagining your professional status to be all have an effect. So perhaps you are attached to your professional status. Perhaps you are attached to the people, how people know you. That's a really realistic thing that can be in your way. When you think about how you can be happy, how you can best go about your work. The financial rewards of the world are not the same as spiritual rewards to the soul. These are very different concepts. So in your 10th house, career, public reputation, think about what are you attached to and what are you not seeing clearly? What is going to help you by cutting away illusion? Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This new moon is occurring in your 9th house. The 9th house is the expansion of the mind. This is higher education. This is religious ideals. This is foreign travel. What ideas are you attached to? When you are thinking about how you expand your mind, do you have in your head a certain concrete way about how that is supposed to look? And if you do, why is it supposed to look like that? Where did that idea come from? The 9th house is all about, it's the opposite of the 3rd house. So the 3rd house is primary communication, and then the 9th house is what you do and how you expand your mind on a bigger scale. So when you're looking at the work that you're doing, and you're looking at what you're really putting out into the world in terms of ideology, in terms of your religious practices or something, if you're teaching, what are you actually putting out into the world? If you're doing something that you imagine to be meaningful, is it really meaningful, Or is that just the way that you're placating yourself right now to make that okay in your head? I don't know you, so real question. But the work that you are supposed to do in this world and the path that you are on, think about the structures of expansion, higher education, religious learning, right? Your ideas about travel. How are those attached to your identity in a way that may actually be impeding your path? What do you feel like you have to think about yourself when it comes to those things? As if there is a correct way to do it. Is there really a right way to do it? Or is that what you've been socially conditioned, Rahu, material world, socially conditioned to believe? So that's something to consider for this new moon. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. This is occurring in your 8th house. And your 8th house is all about shared resources. This is about deep partnership. This is about psychological trauma. This is about sudden things, sudden gains, sudden losses. It's also occult studies. It is sex. It is everything hidden and deep and secrets. Everything below the surface. What is your relationship like to things like debt, to secrets, to your intimate partnerships? And how are the attachments to these things, your past, your hidden trauma, how is your attachment to these things impeding the work that you're really supposed to be doing here? Is it time to let it go? Is it time to let those ideas dissolve? Are these really things that you need to hold on to? Do they need to be part of your identity? Can you move on? But when you really think about what you are supposed to be doing in this life, that's the question to ask. Where do you need to be free from distortion with these issues? Where do you need to be clear in your own thinking when it comes to this? Leo, sun, moon, and rising. Leo, sun, moon, and rising. This new moon is occurring in your 7th house, and your 7th house is your close one-on-one relationships. This is also partnerships and contracts. When you are looking at the contracts that you have with, say, this can be an intimate partner, this can be with somebody you cohabitate with, this can be with who you are deciding to do business with. Where is it time to let go of an illusion? When you think about the work that you are actually supposed to be doing in this world, and you think about how you set out to do that, who you partner with is essential. So if you are surrounded by people, if you are in a contractual situation, is it really a good situation? Or are you pretending like it's a good situation? What's the hard choice that you need to make to do the work that you actually need to do in this world? And it's hard when it comes to partnerships because you've made a commitment to do something with another person, with another company, with a company, with something, right? So with a contract, with an intimate partner, with a cohabitation, something like this, right? These are 7th house things. So when you're making a choice for yourself, perhaps it's time to dissolve a certain partnership. So have a look at which partnerships will actually take you, enhance you, put you in the place where you need to be for the mission of your soul work. What are you producing in terms of your relationships? What are the fruits of your relationships? That's what to look at. And where are you deluding yourself that something that is a terrible situation is somehow going to turn around? That something that is very detrimental for you is suddenly going to go a different direction. So these are the things to ask yourself. Who are you partnering with? And is this taking you in the direction that your soul, that you need to go? Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. This new moon is taking place in your 6th house. And the 6th house has to do with pets, your daily routines, just the way that you manage your energy during the day. It also has to do with health. So with the way that you are spending your days, is this putting you in the place that you need to be? What are you telling yourself about your coworkers, about your schedule? Where are you deluding yourself that this is somehow going to pay off, that this is somehow going to serve you? Okay? A way to think about this. There is a natural flow, and there's a regimented schedule that you could have. And there's somehow this dichotomy between the two. And one is supposed to be better than the other. So are you balanced out with those? With how you spend your time, with how you organize your time, with how you organize yourself around your coworkers, around your household? Right? Is the way that you are spending your energy during the day, is the way that you are budgeting your energy during the day actually taking you in the direction that you need to go? And where are you deluding yourself? Where are you under an illusion that how it's going is just fine? That's something to consider for this new moon. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. This new moon energy is occurring in your 5th house. The 5th house is publishing, it's love affairs, it's all of the ways that you begin to interact with the world. It's your creative endeavors. So the new moon is a dark moon, and the sun, they're here together. So the only way to know is by what has the light on it right now. So your kids, your creative projects, the things that you are bringing into the world. Are these representative of who you are and what you are supposed to be doing? At a deep level, what you know you are supposed to be doing, how you are supposed to be presenting yourself in the world, what you are supposed to be birthing into the material plane. Versus, where are you deluding yourself? Where are you still under illusion that these activities are somehow worthwhile if they're not? That the way that you interact with your creative projects, with your kids, like this is really taking you in the direction that it's not actually taking you in. What truth do you need to face? What new way do you need to find? What is it that you are actually supposed to be bringing into this world? And are you going about that? Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. This is occurring in your 4th house. The 4th house is your home, your family, your roots, your origin. Right? So you behind the scenes. It's the bottom part of the chart. So this is you where nobody can see you. This is you in private. And this is the hardest look. Who you are in private, does that match who you are in public? Who you present yourself to be. If nobody's watching, are you still that person? What you act like you stand for, do you actually stand for that? Is that reflective in your home life? In terms of a family situation or how you identify with your origins, there's another area too in this, and that is, do you need to identify with them so strongly? Is that maybe where you're deluding yourself? Have you individuated to such an extent that where you've come from your roots, your origin, no longer even defines you. You're something different now. But maybe are you holding on to the illusion like you belong there when you don't belong there? You've surpassed what that is. You don't have to be immersed in it anymore. You don't have to take on that identity. You don't have to take on what other people put upon you. It could be any one of these areas, but this is really you behind the scenes. What do you need to let go of to really accomplish your work in the world? What hard choices do you need to make to do your work the most effectively? Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This new moon is occurring in your third house. Your third house is short distance travel, it's communication, it's your correspondence. It's the way that you go about your day-to-day, really. It also has to do with siblings and things that are in proximity to you. So things that are in your neighborhood. So on the one hand, what truth are you not seeing? What truth would help you? Where are you deluding yourself that some situation is fine? How you communicate. Let's look at a few things specifically, right? So like how you communicate. When you're thinking about the work that you need to do in the world, when you're thinking about who you are as a soul and what you actually bring into physical existence, what you actually bring into the material plane. If a child was watching you, would they understand your spiritual life based on how you behave, based on the way that you communicate? Would they know that there's something nice about you? Would they know that there's something peaceful about you? Would they know that there's something calming and uplifting about you? If it was a 5-year-old watching you, would they understand? How you communicate is essential. How you walk in the world is essential. That's one way. Another way, your siblings, third house, always coming back to where you are. So neighborhood. Is the illusion that you somehow still belong in this neighborhood? Is the illusion that you are somehow still part of this sibling group when maybe you've outgrown these things, you've moved on, and it doesn't say anything about the people who are remaining there. It just means you have progressed to a different level. So when you're trying to do your work, these things that haven't progressed at the same rate that you have, they pull you back. And it's hard to let them go, because when you let them go, now it's all new terrain. So the neighborhood, everything in proximity, everything third house, all the things that you are used to. Where is it time to make a new path? What is it now healthy to separate yourself from and see the truth of the reality that if you were going to walk your path, if you were going to walk the street that takes you someplace new, not everybody is keeping up with you. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This new moon is occurring in your second house. Your second house is your earned income, the things, the money you make by the work that you do, the things you accumulate, right? Your house, your bank account, your dwelling. And it's also your house of esteem, right? So it's interesting how those things are all together. And it's very interesting how those things are socially, and again, even in an astrological wheel, they're wrapped up together as if they belong together. So under this new moon, have a look at the truth of things. What relationship do you have with your stuff? What relationship do you feel like you should have with your stuff and your money? And how is this tied up in your self-esteem? How do you feel about yourself? Do you feel like your things speak for you? Or do you feel like your esteem is you yourself? One of the, lies of the New Age spiritual movement is that somehow your things, your material wealth, is reflective of who you are as a person. And that just isn't the case. You are reflective of who you are as a person. So this is looking at your esteem. This is how I'm going to focus it. This is looking at your esteem. And what socially imposed values do you need to let go of? And what does that say about you and your level of how you're able to step into the world if your things, your money, what if those weren't important to you? What does that say about you? I mean, just even to you yourself. So you know how other people might perceive you, but for you, get clear on that. And for you, get clear on what do you need to detach from? What things do you need to give up? What stuff is actually impeding your spiritual progress and growth? And all of the things that you are supposed to be bringing into this world, if you're so concerned with your things and maintaining your stuff, is that actually helping you on your path, or is that hindering you on your path? These are some things to consider. And what is your esteem if it's not tied up in your stuff? Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. This new moon is taking place in your first house. And your first house has to do with you, your actual self, right? Your body, your shell, your sense of self. When you think about the work you are supposed to do in the world, and you think about what you are bringing in to material existence, how do you envision your relationship with your spiritual path? How tied up are you in your shell? How do you feel about the way other people feel about you? Right, so if they like to see you coming, does that make you happy? If they don't like to see you coming, does that make you sad? Because these are attachments. These are illusions. When we care so much about what somebody else thinks, and if we say what we have to say, we're concerned so much about how somebody's going to react to us. If you're going about your work, it's you who has to be in right relationship with you. How other people are regarding you is inconsequential in the context of you doing your soul work. So look at what attachments do you have to give up? The attachments to having people like you, the attachments to being really well received, or the attachments to how you feel about yourself if you actually go about what you're doing. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. This new moon is occurring in your 12th house. And 12th house is your past, your privacy, your hidden self. It is the place of past lives. It's the place of dreams. It's also the place of Neptune. It's the place of addictions. It's the place of retreat. It's where you go away. So in the context of the new moon, what elements of your sleep patterns, of your alcohol or drug or escapism, which can also be through meditation or other practices, how much are these actually contributing to the work you do in the world? How much are these actually contributing to your spiritual path? Versus where are you deluding yourself that certain practices are in fact beneficial? And here's how you can tell. Why don't you want to stop? If you're even thinking about something, if I said that and something came to mind, why do you not want to stop doing that? Because if it actually helps you, and it actually does, you wouldn't have even thought of whatever you just thought of. For example, are your spiritual practices, when it comes to these areas, what is it that you don't want to see? Do you need to be around people a little bit more? What is it that you don't want to give up? Where is it that you don't want to find a new path? You don't want to find a new way. Even something if it isn't working. And for some reason I keep getting escapism. As a Pisces, 12th house is also Pisces. Really escape. So escapism is a big theme. And just being someplace else is a big theme. Because it's comforting to be on your own. It's comforting to be in the cosmic waters. It's comforting to be in the place that is comfortable. But that's not what this energy is about. This energy is about stepping into the world, even though it's uncomfortable, and even though it's really horrible sometimes, and really hard, and you won't be well received, but you still need to do your work. because doing your work in the world, the key phrase in that is in the world. So what 12th house practices right now are you maybe needing to detach from a bit and get more realistic about and see very clearly how it is or is not contributing to your work in the world?